All right, so hello, Gemini, and welcome back to Nicole Myths, Astrology and Tarot, formerly Divine Rebel. Welcome back. For those of you who are new to me in the channel, please be made aware I have no filter. I don't sugarcoat anything. I very much just read how I read. So if that is not your thing, or you have kids around who just don't appreciate those raw, real messages like that, I'm always very respectful of that. I give you the opportunity to sign off now. Otherwise, we will be getting into these Gemini energies. Just real quick, everybody be aware. As of the new year, all of my bookings, services, everything will be going through my Etsy shop. The link is in the description. Whether it's private sessions, whether it's my secret code name readings or intention candles for moon events, whatever it is, it's going to be booked through my Etsy shop. Okay? All right. Without further ado, I am using my Icarus Tarot. I thought it was fitting for October. And I'm also using my Mirror of the Soul Tarot for extra insight. All right, let's get into it. Spirit, please, what is the milestone in the healing for Gemini for the month of October? What is the milestone in the healing that Gemini is moving through for October? What is going on? The moon. The moon. We've got what looks to be a wolf praying. Howling at the moon and praying. The moon card, when it comes up, is about childhood wounds and the illusions that we believe because of them, because of the wounding. It's the subliminal, unconscious layers of the self that become a part of our minds and play the reality against us. This is addressing what you learned about yourself, life, people, relationship dynamics as a child that need to be undone and rewired inside the brain. As an example, let's give an example. Maybe you grew up in a household where the father took care of all of the bills and the mother, was super dependent. But that was acceptable and that was okay, and that's what you learned. They fought all the time, but they stayed together. So now you're in relationships and you're wondering why the person that you love isn't putting forward the same effort that your dad did, right? If you're a female, maybe you're in a heterosexual relationship where your man is not the breadwinner or putting in the effort to work like your father did. And it's not acceptable because of that belief, right? The man is supposed to work hard. This is what I learned. The man is supposed to work hard and take care of the woman. But what if that's just not where the energies are aligned right now? Not that he won't ever, but that's just not where it is right now. What if it's okay that you love each other and he's not the big supporter at the moment, right? Another example, maybe your father wasn't around. Maybe your father wasn't around and you had a single mom. And you grew up watching your mom work her fucking ass off, pulling all the weight as a single parent, and you learned that woman doesn't need a fucking man. And yet your mother was lonely or had moments where she was depressed or whatever, but you learned that that was acceptable. Being depressed or overwhelmed was acceptable because it's a sign of strength. And now in your adulthood, trying to have relationships, you find yourself convincing yourself that you don't need anybody, and it's a sign of strength, and yet you hate being alone. You don't actually want to be alone. Maybe you don't need them financially. Maybe you don't need them for a lot of things, but maybe you don't like being alone, and what they do provide is help, no matter what it is, because it's help regardless. It's help you wouldn't have had otherwise, right? Them being around is a benefit. But you have this constant ping in your head, I'd be better off alone, I'd be better off alone. So whatever it is in your childhood, right? Whatever you learned from your dynamics with your parents about what was and wasn't acceptable, you have to understand that your parents at the time were unconscious and in a state of pain from whatever their parents' pain was that they took personal. Ancestral pain, ancestral karma. You have to be willing to break the chain, break the karma, do something different. Perceive differently, accept and embrace differently. Childhood wounding's a big deal, especially if you find yourself fucking praying to God for answers. Because the answer's already within you. Maybe it's more okay than your woundings would have you believe. Maybe it's more okay. Maybe you grew up in a household where your parents barely fucking talked. Maybe you grew up in a household where your parents were constantly fucking fighting. What did you learn is acceptable that is not acceptable? Think about that. Give me some more insight, please, Spirit, with this milestone lesson, going through the woundings, right? Going through the healings of this milestone of the moon. We got the World card. Starting the month, closing a cycle, completing a cycle. Spirit is shining light on the actual shadow. We have the eye twice now with the Tower card. Ace of Swords on the bottom. And the 10 of Cups on top. All right. I want you to see this real quick, because there's literally the eye here in the sun, in the World card, shining light on the shadows, right? The shadows, which is totally represented by the Moon card. We've got the eye of God, or the eye of the universe, shining on to the karma, the healing, the intense healing. And the self, ultimately, the higher self, being perfectly okay with that. And we also have the eye here shining bright and out, completely taking down the ego, right? The egoic mind, which the Tower represents, the shattering of the ego. Then we have the Lover's card with the Hanged Man. This isn't, there is so much major arcana here, like that's a little intense. These are all events very much beyond your control, Gemini. You may have grown up in a household where your mother was not emotional towards you, didn't actually care about you, maybe was completely distracted by life, and you thought that that was okay and that's how you're meant to be treated. It's okay to be dismissed or unseen or uncared about. Nobody's interested in me, not really. Nobody really cares about me. Hell, that could have made you super picky, because now you're trying to get others to prove how much they care about you and how seen and noticed you are. Notice me. Notice that I don't like it this way. Notice that I don't want it that way. Like, I'm super picky. You know what I mean? Prove to me that I matter. Prove to me that you see me. Let me do things that warrant someone to jump down my throat about it. Like, I know it's not right, but I'm just going to keep ignoring whatever because they'll notice me. Did one of your parents not pay any fucking mind to you? That now your actions and your behavior demand attention? What's your wounding? What's your wounding? Because your wounding is driving your behavior, and your wounded behavior is going to drive your relationship dynamics into the ground. It's going to kill it. You've got the 10 of Cups on your mind, consciously on the top of the deck. You want the dream. You want the win. You want to be happy. You want to feel full. Which means what you do and what you don't do fucking matter. Addressing your wounds matters. It's just 11:11 on the timer. Addressing your wounds matters, because if you don't address your wounds, if you don't let them heal, if you don't choose it, and you do nothing, you will effectively sink your dream. The facts are the facts, Gemini. That is the beauty of your sign. The facts are the facts, and you have no problem with seeing the reality for what it is. The issue is the opposite polarity in the chart, Sagittarius, right? Because if you want to be in union with the self, you have to be able to embody both your sun sign and your sister sign, your polar opposite, which is Sag. Sag is the teacher and the student, the mystic, the prophet, the I know what's going to happen, the long distance future, I know how this is going to turn out. You have to be able to embrace the fact that you know how the facts of the reality are going to turn out in the long run if nothing changes. Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. It's spirit, ever changing. It's inspiration. It's looking forward to the long term. The step-by-step build. The transition from point A to point B. They rule the house of travel and mental exploration. This is about expanding your mind, Gemini, beyond the reality. What is the long term? What works to serve the long term? What behavior serves the long term? Because whatever is going on now with the wounding, if that doesn't change in the reality, you don't have the future. There isn't one. This is where you have to close the cycle and let your ego shatter. How can you improve yourself so that the future exists the way you want it with the lover that you've chosen? The lover is the choice card in tarot. How can you make heart over head decisions with the Hanged Man? You know, this is a Piscean card, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune. But originally, Pisces was ruled by Jupiter, which is shared with Sagittarius. How can you count your blessings and reciprocate? This is about love first. There's a whole lot of things you want to do. And then there's a whole lot of things that you know you should be doing. And if you're not doing what you know you should be doing, because you think this or think that. You're going to sink head first, because it's your head that's heavy weighing you down. It's like having lead inside of there. Hanged Man comes out with the 6 of coin, the success card. The heart over head decisions is the success. In Rider-Waite Tarot, you see the person endlessly giving, right? This person who has abundance and giving to the person on their knees. The person begging. They said, of course I have what you need. So whatever your partner needs, if you're in a relationship, whatever your other soulmate needs, if you're in a different kind of relationship dynamic, right? Friendship, family, whatever, work. Whatever the person in your reality that this reading is resonating about for you needs, snap out of it and just be the provider of what they need. Snap out of it. Look at the actual reality that you're in and the future that you want to create, and start bringing the best person that you can bring to the reality that you're in now, so that you have the future that you want later. Or straight up, get prepared to kiss it goodbye. Be prepared. Address your wounds. Learn how to see the long-term bigger picture. If what you were doing in past relationships didn't work, it's not going to work for your current one either. If you were doing it before and it failed, and you did it before that and it failed, if you're doing it now, it's going to fail. See the long-term future. If you're doing the same fucking thing over and over and over again, expecting different results, that's fucking crazy. That's crazy. Why would it be any different? What, because you picked a different partner? Your behavior is the same, and your behavior is going to drive the partnership, point blank, period. Because someone who is technically insane doing the same thing over and over and over again can take a perfectly fine, caring, wonderful person and turn them into a fucking wreck. Because your inner self is a fucking wreck. And that's what you create in the outer experience. Your partner is going to feel crazy because your behavior is crazy. You're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Do it different. Do it better. Shift. What can you do now to make your tomorrow with whoever better? How can you break the toxic, wounded cycle? How can you show up for your partner who is on their knees praying that you snap out of it, out of your shadow, and back into your light? You've got a better version of yourself in there, and they deserve it. That's the truth. That is the truth. You need to work some fucking magic, Gem. Find that magic within yourself, or you will end up fucking heartbroken and wondering what you did wrong and could have done better when you already know. You already know. So this is Grace Nicole Myths. I hope it helped. Signing off. Remember always, guys, my love and support is with you. Love each other, and most importantly, love yourselves. Bye, everybody.